Hey everyone, how are you on this second day of June? I hope all is well. Today was an interesting day in the case of the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. They started off, interestingly enough, with a person that, from the updates that I received, identified as Garcia, that Garcia pled the fifth. Now, for those of you who are not sure what that means exactly, when someone pleads the fifth, they are invoking their Fifth Amendment right under the United States Constitution to refuse to answer questions in order to avoid self incrimination. Basically, that just means if answering a question could expose a person to criminal charges or legal trouble, they can legally choose not to answer that question by pleading the fifth. Now, as far as what that means in context, it does not mean that the person is actually guilty of anything. It does mean that they believe that by answering the question, they could potentially incriminate themselves or lead themselves to be at risk of legal action. It's a constitutional protection used frequently in criminal investigations and in trials. So I did a little research and I found out the person's name is Eddie Garcia. And Eddie Garcia, a hotel security supervisor of the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, is supposed to be a key witness in Diddy's case for sex trafficking and racketeering. Now, Garcia was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony. However, during today's proceedings, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self incrimination despite his immunity deal. Now, his testimony is considered significant because the Intercontinental Hotel is alleged to have been a location where Combs hosted a so called freak off involving coerced sexual acts. Surveillance footage from the hotel reportedly shows Combs assaulting his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in 2016. So I definitely find it interesting that Eddie Garcia has opted to invoke his Fifth Amendment right. Now, because he invoked the Fifth Amendment, does that mean that the government can't compel his testimony? They can, and they'll probably treat him as a hostile witness should he appear on the stand. But that remains to be seen. Now, today, the cross-examination continued for Mia, Diddy's assistant, and we're going to hop right into the testimony. And I'll be pausing throughout to kind of identify some key points during this cross-examination. Now, I haven't listened to this, so I don't know if they have a male or a female doing Brian Steele's portion of the cross examination. But just so everyone is aware, Brian Steele is still up to bat for the defense doing the cross examination with Mia.
All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Listen at your own discretion. Show DX1750. Did you work as an assistant to someone?
Maybe 2008 or 2007. I'm not sure.
You had a resume saying you had the ability to multitask and had thick skin.
I'm not sure I wrote that.
That you were able to deal with uncomfortable situations 24/7. At this moment, the prosecution objected, but was overruled. Did you use this as your CV?
Looks like it.
1753-R for admission.
Now, real quick, just because this person puts on their resume that they are able to work in uncomfortable positions 24/7 doesn't really mean that their expectation is that they will be placed in difficult positions 24/7. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I get where Brian Steele is going, but again, he's not dismissing the forced labor allegation. He's kind of pushing an argument as if, well, you said you could work 24/7 and handle things, 24/7. And now you're complaining about working 24. You get what I'm saying, guys? It's just, I don't know. Let's continue.
Multitask and had thick skin.
I'm not sure I wrote that.
Let me go back because I had it on mute.
Work as an assistant to someone?
Maybe 2008 or 2007. I'm not sure.
You had a resume saying you had the ability to multitask and had thick skin.
I'm not sure I wrote that.
That you were able to deal with uncomfortable situations 24/7. At this moment, the prosecution objected, but was overruled. Did you use this as your CV?
Looks like it.
1753-R for admission. You went to James Madison University. It's a well-known institution.
Sure.
Then you were a design assistant?
Yes.
In 2008 to 9, you say you provided round-the-clock support. All personal and professional needs, keeping passports. They were all collected.
I don't exactly remember. I didn't travel.
But you traveled with Mr. Combs's companies?
Oh, yes.
So when you said they had your passport, they had everyone's passport. True?
Yes.
You are a strong person.
I'm good at teaching.
Okay, so pause. So now he's pointing out the fact that the staff had everyone's passport. I get that he's trying to normalize that, but it's still questionable to me. Why would the staff need to hold everyone's passports?
People, not necessarily at enforcing things.
You're a leader.
I don't know about that.
You speak up for yourself.
No.
But you empower other people. True.
Yes.
Let's look at your text messages in 1730 at CQ.
I sound like me.
Show the jury 1733. You left Mr. Combs's employ by March 2017.
Yes.
What did you write to Mr. Combs for Christmas 2018? Please read it.
Merry Christmas, I love you, and the New Year's. I had just seen him at Kim's funeral.
You reached out to him.
Absolutely.
This 2019 message.
I wrote, I had a nightmare. I was being chased by R. Kelly, and you saved me.
The person you saved you. At this moment, the prosecution objected, and the judge said to rephrase. Here, what did you write?
Sending you all the love in the world.
You were not in his grip anymore.
It's psychological.
Why do you keep referring to psychology? Why did you do this? Kim Porter's tragic death was 5 months before. Why were you reaching out to Mr. Combs?
5 months is not a lot.
What didn't you understand that Mr. Combs was brutal to you? How did you write this? At this moment, the prosecution objected on the grounds of argumentative, and then they had a sidebar, then continued. Now, May 14th, 2020, and you texted to Mr. Combs. What?
My heart is broken about Dre. In my spirituality, I know that when people are done with the physical world, it's that they have completed their mission. I love you.
What's this about?
He auditioned for the James Brown part that Chad Boseman got. I told Puff I'd email him videos of his audition.
You carried about a video camera.
He required me to do it.
Hold on, guys. We're
So
getting
you
a
think you know
commercial.
Wix? Do you really?
Now, I get what Brian still is trying to do, but Mia is toe to toe. Brian still says you carried around a video camera. And Mia said I was required to do so.
Before. Why were you reaching out to Mr. Combs?
5 months is not a lot.
What didn't you understand that Mr. Combs was brutal to you? How did you write this? At this moment, the prosecution objected on the grounds of argumentative, and then they had a sidebar, then continued. Now, May 14th, 2020, and you texted to Mr. Combs. What?
My heart is broken about Dre. In my spirituality, I know that when people are done with the physical world, it's that they have completed their mission. I love you.
What's this about?
He auditioned for the James Brown part that Chad Boseman got. I told Puff I'd email him videos of his audition.
You carried about a video camera.
He required me to do it. Pre-iPhone, I was required.
Do you have any footage of Mr. Combs berating you? At this moment, the prosecution objected, but was overruled.
I would not have been allowed to record that.
Do you have anything about Mr. Combs berating you?
It would have violated confidentiality.
You have no text messages.
They showed me one on direct.
Showing what?
Puff saying, "F it, let's go to war."
Nothing else?
Only reaching out to other people in the office, things others had seen.
What did you write here?
I wrote, "We had so many funny memories. OMG.
Anything in your phone about being brutalized by Mr. Combs?
I don't think so.
How would we find out? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. Mia, didn't you have time away from Mr. Combs to write? Today, he's me.
I did not have time and would not have written that."
August 29th, 2020, he wrote to you. Glad you're well, love. Please send me the footage for the doc. Mr. Combs let you go from your employment.
I don't know why. It was confusing. I was called back.
Here he says, he'll only remember the good times.
Yes.
It's 2020. The Me Too movement is strong for 2 years. You could say, I remember the bad times, right?
I would never have said that.
Because it's not true. At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was overruled. You wrote what?
Love you too. I wrote so many crazy things, like Mick Jagger trying to take me home, and that Baccarat game, my pink bedazzled iPhone. There were trillions of stories. Of course, I'll send to you. I was bamboozled by Heather. Remember the scrapbook I made you? I've got you.
Why didn't you write, you bamboozled me?
Because I was brainwashed.
By whom?
Puff.
How did he bamboozle you with a part of his body in you without your consent? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. What does brainwashing mean?
The highs were really high and the lows were really low. I was punished whenever Puff was making me believe I had done something wrong. He was praised by the public.
You were aware of the Me Too movement. No outcry out of you. Why?
He said he was going to tell Cassie what happened. I internalized blame and shame.
Who threatened to tell Ms. Ventura about Mr. Combs supposedly assaulting you?
Puff.
Why didn't you respond? Great. Let's tell everyone what you did to me. At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. You said you have a moral obligation to speak up.
Now I do.
Why not in 2017?
I was brainwashed.
When did you first say, me too?
When I first saw him being held responsible. Now I have therapy.
Mr. Combs wrote, I gotta find that. You got a copy. What does it refer to?
I think he means the James Brown video.
Scrapbook.
I wrote, I think I have PDFs. I think I gave it to you for a B-day in your house on Mapleton. I customized that purple leather suit so you could walk not giving an F. If y'all can't find it, I will. But I didn't.
You had a PDF?
I thought so.
What did you write here?
My grandma went into hospice, so I have to fly out. I have to miss your event here in my hometown. C'est la vie. Crush it and make history. Heart emoji.
Deepest sympathy for your grandmother.
Thanks.
What was this about?
There had been some terrible event with the police. Farrell organized an event to change the narrative of Beach Week, which I think is a college thing.
You wanted to see Mr. Combs.
I did not. I only said so. My hometown of Virginia Beach doesn't usually get this type of attention.
You're telling the jury you were scared of Mr. Combs. True.
True. I was scared of him when he was scary.
Listen to 1750. Tell me if you recognize it. Move to admit 1750 and 1750R. You and Ms. Ventura were best friends. Fair. At this moment, the prosecution objected, and they had a sidebar. One of the videos that was admitted was this video, which we will play for you now.
Shameless plug. Gotta put my lip gloss on. Poppin'! Puff Daddy, the living legend himself. You have not only revolutionized the game, but the entire world. I am so blessed to call you my friend. Thank you for truly being one of the biggest inspirations in my life. To another 44 years of brilliance. Let's cheat up. I love you. Happy birthday. Bravo.
And they had a whole argument about evidence, but then continued. You and Ms. Ventura were best friends. Fair?
Yes.
You said she was your sister?
Yes.
You loved her?
Absolutely.
And you feel the same way today?
Yes.
You would never lie to her?
Puff didn't allow me to tell her things, like where he was, anything he said.
Was Ms. Ventura in love with Mr. Combs?
I thought so.
Did you ever tell her the person she loved?
So,
What makes Zaxby's giant?
hold on, guys. We got a whole commercial. I am going to capture that video that they played in court, and I will put it on my channel here, so that you guys can see it, because the way that I'm streaming right now, I can't share it with you. But yeah, I will actually go ahead and create a short of it and share it with you.
No.
Do you remember telling her Mr. Combs' brain need to be rewired? At this moment, the prosecution asked for a sidebar, then continued. Why would you cover up for Mr. Combs to Ms. Ventura? Why writing that Mr. Combs is just misunderstood? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and the judge said to rephrase. Did you tell Ms. Ventura she needs to stay with Mr. Combs?
I don't remember that. He could find out what I was telling her.
How?
He had stolen my phone and Cassie's phone many times. He's put tracking devices on her car.
But you were alone with Ms. Ventura.
Yes.
You sued Mr. Combs for $10 million?
It was a mediation. My lawyers ended up getting $200,000.
You got $200,000?
Yes.
Please look at the screen. Is that your social media account?
Looks like a text message. Sounds like me.
Your text to Mr. Combs?
I don't remember sending this.
You are in a tutu, and Mr. Combs appears to be holding his private parts. In Ms. Ventura's lawsuit, she alleged abuse.
Yes.
Why did you still communicate with Mr. Combs? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. Did you meet these prosecutors in January 2024?
I may have. I don't remember the timing.
Did you tell them Mr. Combs did you?
I don't remember when I told them.
Did you get a lawyer?
Yes.
The lawyer, who had 45 days earlier, obtained an enormous judgment. At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. Why did you hire her? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. You only first alleged in June 2024.
I don't remember the timing of things. The rest I can't go into. I understand it's privileged.
At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. Then the judge asked for a sidebar. Let's talk about Prince's party. You said you had no permission to go there, but you knew many people who knew Mr. Combs would be there. At this moment, the judge asked the defense to rephrase. Did you wear a disguise?
No.
Any photo of a chase?
No.
You say you and Ms. Ventura got on a paddleboard into a storm.
Yes.
Any recording of that?
No.
Any note or text message to prove it happened?
I don't think so. We were on a paddleboard.
Did you make it up?
No.
You said you had no time with family. Did you ever go to events with your family and friends?
Sporadically, over 8 years, but few and far between.
Weddings?
Sister and best friends, I believe.
Halloween?
I don't remember.
You had times with others, right?
I had to be in communication 24/7. I was never outside his grip.
Outside of the work environment, why couldn't you explain the abuse you say you were experiencing?
It's more complicated than that.
Isn't it true that other than the few times Mr. Combs was with Ms. Ventura, which is never okay, you were comfortable with Mr. Combs? At this moment, the judge asked the defense to rephrase. You never advised Ms. Ventura to leave him.
No.
Until 2024, you never told anyone you were abused.
Unless it was to my privileged therapist, that's true.
Could you waive that privilege? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. You joined the Me Too money grab against Mr. Combs. At this moment, the prosecution objected. You knew Ms. Ventura received money from her lawsuit against Mr. Combs.
It was public.
But you speak with Ms. Ventura?
Never about anything I discussed with the government.
How would we know that? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained. Let me show you documents. Read it to yourself. And Your Honor, Could we have a sidebar? They had a sidebar, then continued. Mia, were you able to review over the bread some of your interviews with prosecutors?
Yes.
And you didn't mention it would be until June 2024.
I don't remember the dates.
Did you give all your materials to the government?
I gave them to my lawyer. They gave them to the government.
Look at this one. In these notes, did you raise to the prosecutors? At this moment, the prosecution objected, but was overruled. Did you raise it in January 2024?
Definitely not in the first meeting. I don't remember each specific meeting, but I definitely didn't raise it in the first meeting.
And in this next document that you just reviewed?
No, not to the specifics.
You never mentioned until you hired lawyer Sean Crowley.
I have no idea when I first mentioned it, except that it was after I had representation.
You intend to sue Mr. Combs for compensation. You want money.
No.
Who have you worked for since?
Madonna.
For how long?
8 months, from April 2019.
When you did that, did Mr. Combs assist you in getting that job?
Absolutely not.
So you were not blacklisted?
No.
No retribution?
He took away the TV show, the credit I was promised.
You told the jury you were surprised you were let go, right?
I did.
You were let go for drinking.
No.
You remember Ms. Ventura's video called Official Girl?
Yes.
And King of Hearts, and her song with Nicki Minaj, The Boys.
Yes.
And Nicki Minaj is well known.
Yes.
So I think that Brian Steele is getting really aggressive, but it's also rather offensive. I mean, he's doing his job. This is what, he has to do. He's trying to discredit her testimony and, painting her out to be someone who's lying. And also the comment about being a part of the Me Too money grab. He's teetering to me. What do you guys think? Again, I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing his job. But he's teetering on that line, that very fine line of basically re-victimizing a victim. And that's just my opinion.
And Ms. Ventura did the song Numb with Rick Ross.
She did.
And I Love It with Fabulous.
Yes.
And do you remember Ms. Ventura being in Studio Kid Cutie?
I don't remember the specifics.
And Mr. Combs himself?
Yes.
The TV show you mentioned, what was it to be about?
My experience.
How a person from a small town dealt with a person such as Mr. Combs.
A comedic version?
What are the...
So this is interesting to learn that her show was about how a person from a small town dealt with Diddy. I did not know that.
Show you mentioned, what was it to be about?
My experience.
How a person from a small town dealt with a person such as Mr. Combs.
A comedic version?
Hey, Libby Lou.
What other
Hey,
films
Bush
do you work on?
Babies.
Dope, Lawless, Undefeated.
You enjoyed the projects.
Yes.
And you called the people a second family.
We all called it that
You thought Mr. Combs was a genius.
at the time.
You wanted to continue to work with Mr. Combs, right?
I wanted to continue following my dream.
Do you, if Mr. Combs' company put more money into promoting Ms. Ventura than any other of its artists?
I didn't absorb everything.
Who is Jason Wiley?
He worked for the record label.
In budgeting, right? Do you recall being given the opportunity to have your therapist notes be seen by the parties? At this moment, the prosecution objected, and there was a sidebar. Then they continued. You never called law enforcement, right?
I did not.
You said when you were stopped while speeding in LA, Mr. Combs got you out of it. You remember?
I do.
Did you ever think of calling anonymously?
No.
When you say Mr. Combs hurt your arm, did you seek medical help?
No, I would not have been allowed.
Did you take photos?
No.
Did you scream?
No, I was in shock.
Before the 5 days you say you were awake, did you ever stay awake that long?
Absolutely not.
You testified you would give up all of the money if there had not been any discussion that you will make money by testifying.
No, that's not even a thing.
Your Honor, can I set up those other matters? At this moment, the judge said yes and then said, we'll reconvene. Then they continued. Nothing further.
Mia, was posting to social media part of your job?
Yes.
As part of that, did you post on your personal Instagram account?
Yes.
What did Mr. Combs do if he thought you were not doing your job?
I'd be yelled at and humiliated.
Did other employees also post for Mr. Combs' birthday?
Yes.
The birthday video, was it for Club Diddy?
Yes.
Did Mr. Combs co-own the water you were drinking? And did you say Revolt, the project you worked on at the end?
Yes.
You posted about the good, not bad times?
Yes.
Why did you want to make the person who abused you happy?
When he was happy, I was safe.
Were you worried about your physical safety?
Yes. I've been abused by Puff before. I knew his wrath.
Did you engage a pro bono lawyer?
Yes.
Why did you meet with the government so much?
So my story could be understood.
Why were you terrified?
Of Puff and the repercussions.
Did the government tell you what to say?
No, only to tell the truth.
How do you feel about public speaking?
Terrified.
Can you explain that, given that you've been in comedy?
I had Puff's permission for that.
Any comparison to testifying about Mr. Combs, this you here?
None.
Why are you here today?
If not, I couldn't look my goddaughters in the eye and ever advise them what to do in this situation.
At this moment, the judge asked if there was a recross examination, and the defense said no. So that was the end of Mia's testimony, which in that video we showed you is who she was, known as Sarah, we believe.
The government calls Sylvia Oken. Where do you work?
The Beverly Hills Hotel for 17 years. I'm the director of sales and marketing.
How do reservations work?
A system called Opera.
Does Opera link a customer's alias to their real name?
Yes.
And this one, who is it, really?
Sean Combs.
Can a guest change his or her alias?
Yes.
How is this paid for?
It's to Tia Fletcher at Bad Boy, paid by Amex of Sean Combs.
What's this?
The folio or bill for room 259.
What's his?
A $500 charge for oil damage.
No further questions.
The accompanying guest was Cassie Ventura.
Yes.
Nothing more. And that was it for the day in the Diddy trial. What did you think about the finale of Mia's testimony? Who do you think did better, the prosecution or defense?
I definitely today am going to give my point to the defense. While I feel that Brian Steele's approach was, let's say controversial. I'm going to say controversial. While I feel that his approach to the situation was very controversial, the way that he approached Mia being someone who is coming out and telling her story about being essayed by Diddy on multiple occasions, I'm still going to give him the point because he came with that fire. He came with a game plan, at least a better game plan than he had yesterday. And he came to really try to impeach her on the stand. And basically impeaching her would include him trying to discredit what she said. And if I'm completely honest, I think he kind of did a good job because Mia had not been in Puff's employment for a number of years, but she still reached out. She still sent messages, text messages, and things of that nature. And I understand how Stockholm Syndrome works, and I understand the psychology part of it, and how she felt that she was a part of a family. So it was difficult for sure for her, I would imagine, having to break away. But when it comes to like in the court of law, this did not look very good for her testimony or for the government. Overall, I'm not saying that she was embellishing any of her events or any of her experience. It's just looking at it at face value and without knowing all of the different psychological things that go on with individuals that go through such trauma. One would say, looking at how Brian Steele actually pulled out all of that information, showed her text messages, shared the video of her wishing him a happy birthday and saying to a next 44 years of being, a mastermind and all of this other stuff. It just seems I don't think it impeaches her completely, but it definitely tarnishes the direction in which the prosecution was hoping, I'm sure, that her testimony would be serving their purposes. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not one way that a victim responds. And of course, I know that. Many of you know that. But the general public, and when I say general public, I'm referring to like people who are sitting in the jury right now. They're not going to understand that unless the government comes back with a expert witness who can break down the actual psychology of how victims, how they process, how they heal. Some may shut off and just shut the door on their abuser immediately. Some may still have lingering. Some may still stay connected in some form or fashion. So it's like I think the government needs to produce another expert witness that can speak to victims and some of the responses to traumatic experiences in order, if they want to recoup Mia's testimony. Now, if what Brian Steele did totally throws Mia's testimony out with the jury, I still don't think that Diddy's out of the weeds just yet, because there's also a lot of other testimony as well as proof, like physical evidence showing his behavior and showing that a lot of the allegations that are being made actually occurred. So now that we're done with the cross-examination and Mia's testimony, I guess she's excused because they went on to the hotel manager to explain their check-in process and things of that nature. So we're done with Mia, and then they moved to the hotel manager. So I'm really interested to see who's up next. And you know what, guys? I've been thinking Christina Coram has been brought up throughout just about everyone's testimony. And she was considered to be Diddy's right-hand woman. Sort of like his Ghislaine Maxwell. And she's not sitting in the seat next to him in court. So, do you guys think that KK is going to take the stand for the government? What do you guys think? Let me know if you're here in the live chat. Let me know what your thoughts are on KK. And if you're catching this on the replay, what do you think? Is KK going to take the stand? In this case, the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. She's not sitting next to him as a defendant. And there's been a lot of testimony that make her complicit in a lot of his activities. But I was doing some research earlier because I heard somebody was saying that R. Kelly and Diddy are the only people that have been tried under RICO and the Mann Act. And I looked it up earlier really quickly, and it did appear that that would be correct. But what I searched and I kind of researched and looked into was like who's been charged with it, and my results came back with the most notable. Now, while Diddy and R. Kelly are the most notable, they're not the only ones, because I was curious because the person that was mentioning it was saying, this seems like something that they're using to take down like successful black men. And initially, upon my initial search and finding the results that I found, I was like, whoa, this is scary. Like, is this a thing that's happening? Are they using the Mann Act and the RICO charges to take down successful black men? Like, oh my goodness. But then I kind of peeled the onion back a little bit more, and it's not just this approach by the federal government is not limited to just Sean P. Diddy Combs and R. Kelly. Now, we're going to get into that right now. The notable cases involving both RICO and the Mann Act, as I stated, was R. Kelly, Robert Sylvester Kelly. In 2021, R&B singer R. Kelly was tried in Brooklyn federal court on charges including 1 count of racketeering and multiple counts of violating the Mann Act. Racketeering charge compressed 14 underlying acts, such as kidnapping, forced labor, and sexual exploitation of a child. So the comment also like being done to take down black successful men. Any man who is willing and or able and interested in exploiting children needs to be incarcerated. They need to be charged, convicted, and incarcerated and giving a very lengthy sentence, if not life. To steal a child's innocence, to me, is a horrible, horrible thing. It's just egregious in my opinion. So I wouldn't say that R. Kelly, in my opinion, was a successful black man. He did have, some hits. He had a lot of money, but clearly he was a Pedialyte, a pedophile that belonged behind bars. The Mann Act violations pertain to transporting individuals across state lines for illegal sexual activities. Prosecutors allege that Kelly led a criminal enterprise that facilitated the abuse and exploitation of women and girls over several decades. 2. Sean Diddy Combs, as of May 2025, music mogul. Combs is on trial in Manhattan federal court facing charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. While not explicitly charged under the Mann Act, the allegations involve transporting individuals across state lines for illicit purposes, which aligns with the Act's provisions. Prosecutors claim that Combs used his business empire to conduct a criminal operation involving coercion, blackmail, and sex trafficking dating back to 2008. Now, Also on the list of people who were tried under RICO and the Mann Act is Boston gang members 2020. In June of 2020, the United States Attorney's Office in the District of Massachusetts charged 31 Boston gang members and associates with various offenses, including violations of the RICO Act and the Mann Act. The charges stemmed from alleged involvement in drug trafficking, pum offenses, and sex trafficking activities. Okay? Now, a lot of people also are saying that, Diddy and R. Kelly are similarly situated as far as the federal government's case. So I kind of did some research on that, and I said, you know what? They both have faced serious legal and public scrutiny related to alleged sexual misconduct and abuse. However, their cases are not similarly situated in key legal and factual ways. Here's a breakdown of the differences and limited similarities. In R. Kelly's case, criminal charges, he was charged under federal law for the RICO Act and the Mann Act, child pornography, sexual exploitation of minors. He was convicted in 2021. Kelly was found guilty on multiple federal counts, including RICO and the Mann Act, and Mann Act violations for leading a criminal enterprise that exploited women and minors over decades. He was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. This is a Brooklyn case, plus 20 years in Chicago, with 19 years concurrent. Prosecutor strategy. The prosecutorial, there we go. If I could talk tonight and read tonight, y'all, that would be really good. Strategy. The government used the RICO Act to frame his network of managers, enablers, and handlers as a part of a criminal enterprise, enabling the abuse, thus expanding the liability. Now, Diddy's situation, prior to May of 2025, Diddy had a lot of civil litigation going on, right? And at the time, prior to the start of his trial, he was, just under federal investigation. But now his trial is underway. But Diddy was criminally indicted under the RICO Act as well as the Mann Act. He's had multiple civil suits stating that alleged sexual assault, sex trafficking, and abuse. Some claims mentioned drugs, coercion, and transportation across state lines. Now, the Homeland Security investigation and raid, as we all know, happened back in March. And his case is now in court in the Southern District of New York. Now, the potential similarities, and these are all theoretical, The federal government, the prosecutors built a case against Diddy involving systematic abuse, organized network, his bodyguards, his assistants, etc., interstate transportation for sexual exploitation, then a RICO and Mann Act case, making his case structurally similar to Kelly's. So those are some of like the differences as well as the similarities in both of these pop icons cases. Hey, something foreign. Hey, Lisa says what? But Brian Steele has scored another point for the defense. So now I have the prosecution at 8 and I have the defense at 2. Like I said, I don't really agree with Brian Steele's approach. I think it was a bit of a re-victimization of someone who has stated that they were a victim. If we even take the essay out and say, hey, Mia's probably blowing smoke up our you know what, let's say that didn't happen, okay? Let's just say for argument's sake that didn't happen. And I hate to even pose it that way, but I'm posing the question. She also mentioned working 5 days straight without sleep. She now suffers from complex PTSD. She additionally, I'm sure has some form of anxiety, and she's seeing a therapist. Not to mention, she was not compensated in the way that she was supposed to be, to the point where she had to sue him civilly for her lost wages. So regardless, as if nobody on the jury believes Mia's testimony, that's fine. I still consider all of the factors and all of what she stated that she experienced as the truth. I don't think that she's lying, guys. I just don't. I don't believe that she's lying. And to be honest with you, I think this is one of the main reasons why victims are extremely hesitant to come out and talk about their experience, because they'll be ostracized. They'll be called a liar. They will be, they'll be treated as if they're the villain and not the victim. So over here, I want y'all to keep it cute in the comments. I definitely want your feedback, but I don't believe that Mia is not being truthful. I believe that her testimony is genuine and true. And only a professional would be able to explain her reasoning for keeping in contact with Diddy. Not someone on the jury, not me, not you, not anybody else. Only a professional. Someone who deals with people who have experienced similar traumatic experiences, and how they react, how they process, how they heal, how they move on. You understand what I'm saying? But guys, that's it for me for day 14. If you guys are here and you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing today. Be sure to set your notifications to all so that you're notified when I go live or add new content. And I appreciate you all that showed up and showed out in the comments. Libby Lou, Lisa says what? Something foreign. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. Bush babies, you can hit the like button as well. Thank you guys in advance, all right?